my games because they were mad at me for getting kicked out of my mom's game. It was weird, but anyway.
That's a curious situation there.
Yeah. I did run
Hey
a game
guys.
one time. Hello. I did run a game one time with my parents in there, and my mom just kept trying to kill my dad's character. She didn't understand how the game worked.
Oh my god. What?
D&D as
Okay.
therapy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not read into that.
She was like, "Can I fight him?" I'm like, "No, we're supposed to be working together towards the goal." And she just didn't get that.
I should keep. Okay, that's. Did. How many times did you have to explain to her that you can't do that?
She never did get it. It was a one-off. She just kept trying to like mess with my dad's character. It never sunk in.
Actually, we don't have any good family D&D stories. That me and Jono, we've heard a couple of them, and yeah, none of
No
them seem
bueno.
to go over.
Well, she does like this game. I told her about like the story behind what we're doing here. She does like the story.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. It's a good story.
Thank you. Yeah, she likes it. She was kind
Yeah.
of mad at me about something, but that I told her, but that's okay. Okay. Is everybody here? Is anybody not here? If you're not here, say hello. I'm just kidding. Okay. I think Ramune, I think you said you'd be back. Be back? Oh, cool. Okay. So we're ready to go. All right. Well, hello everyone. Um, so we'll do a recap. I did want to say that I will be putting in chat after we're done some reschedules because I will be getting a minor surgical can't talk today procedure done next weekend. So
Ooh.
yes, so that would mean that the 25th would have to be rescheduled, but we'll talk about that in chat. But I just want you know I'm gonna be bringing that up. Okay, so recap of last week. The party had decided to look into some things before going to Saul's Crest. And the reason that you were going to Saul's Crest is because you were trying to find out more information about a mysterious shipment that you had recently learned about. A shipment that contains ingredients to make a deadly unknown poison. So Toren and Irene went to the Alloria Conservation Alliance first to check on some other things. You went there to check on the notice board, and you saw a notice from someone named Roderick Poe, and the notice board talked about an old place where a person's happy, he referred to it, had passed, and he had found a map that he'd been left, and he said it probably led to a treasure or something like that, but he couldn't read it. So he had asked if someone who could read the map would find whatever the item was, and he would share it fairly with them, whatever that was. So Toren took that off of the board so you all could do it, and you all went along on your way. Didn't have a time frame on it, but it did have an address on it. So the two of you talked to Dr. Lynn, and she introduced you to Adia Sheridan, who is the ambassador, who is the person who represents indigenous and protected tribes in the government. You all went over a little bit of what would it be involved in the assignments that you have been given by the Alluring Conservation Alliance, the names of places that Mother had mentioned. If you all remember the context behind that, the Allorian Conservation Alliance has been getting a lot of requests about problems in a lot of different places. However, three specific places were places that were also mentioned by Mother. So they had asked if you all would go check those places out first to see what was going on there. Dr. Sheridan requested that you wait on the third place, which is the village of the Erismere Elves, because they're a protected tribe, and she'll need to do more briefing with you. So she would rather you wait on that one. But you can do the other two anytime you want. Then we went to Andil, Cypress, and Ramune, who visited the Jander from the Honored Sons, and he's a ranger. You found out more information from him about the worm tongue and that it needed 2 other ingredients to be mixed into a poison. It's alchemy that's fairly dangerous. So there are many different poisons that it could be leading to, and that the worm tongue was a sort of an enhancer of poisons, and it had become more potent since the changes in the world. And so he said that, well, actually, I think Esther first suggested that Jander would be a good person to come to Saliscrest with you so that just in case you weren't able to get your hands on the poison or on the plant, that is, at least he would see maybe what it was and he could figure out what it was because he's an expert on plants. So you all headed to Saliscrest, and it was the town was pretty busy and had a lot going on. You all went to the back and found some warehouses. There was a few warehouses. You managed to sneak into one of the warehouses. It had a bunch of boxes in there, all on one floor. And after some searching, you were able to kind of realize that this one didn't have anything in it. One, because the one that you were supposed to go to definitely had 2 floors. Some coopers, who are people from a guild that makes boxes and storage containers, entered this warehouse, and they found you all due to somebody not being very quiet, Irene, who shall remain nameless. And they found you all, but you all, Ramune managed to make a distraction, and you all ran away and didn't get caught. And after all this happened, you all managed to sneak into the Cooper's guild house. After determining that this was the place, you all snuck past several rooms, past several Coopers, and you managed to get to a room on the other side of the warehouse. And this was after calling through a window, that where there was a single person sitting in there. And none of this would have been possible if Irene had not created a distraction, a magical distraction of a ghost girl kind of floating outside of the guild hall, and if Cypress hadn't sent in an invisible cat familiar to scout out the place first. So those 2 things quite helped you all. So that is where we are. And I don't think I forgot anything. So I'm going to take us to the warehouse. By the way, we're on the new version of Foundry. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. I did some testing, so it should be okay. So let me know if you have any technical problems. Okay. Oops, I did not mean to do that. There we go. Okay. All right, so can everybody see the map? Is everybody on the warehouse map?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yes.
Oops, I did not. And I didn't mean to do that either. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Let's go here and here. And having some issues here. Let's get rid of that. I just messed up this map. Okay. Okay. So you all manage to get through several groups of Coopers, and you get to the final door, and at least the final door in the hall, and you see a man. He appears to be human, and he's kind of looking around a little bit, maybe nervously, maybe the nervousness is in your imagination, but either way, he's kind of looking around, and you all are so quiet that he doesn't seem to notice the door open. What would you like to do?
I think I need to restart Foundry.
You think you need to restart?
Yeah, my Southcrest map is stuck at 99%.
Same.
Interesting.
Oh,
Oh no, here we
that's
go.
weird.
Okay, I see two people on this map. Let me try this again. Activate. Okay, let's do. Okay, I see everybody's on here except for. Hold on, let me try something. Okay, now everybody should be on this map. Are you all here?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Can anybody not see this map? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
good to
no.
go, yep.
Okay, cool. All right. I was like, I did all this testing, it's not gonna work. Okay. Okay. So like I said, you can see this person kind of, he's kind of like walking around, but he doesn't hear you. Some of you can see him, some of you can't. And he hasn't seen you yet. So what would you like to do? Okay. All right. Anybody who's entering the room with stealth, go ahead and move your character and roll stealth, please. If you're not entering, stay where you are. Remember, you all, if you remember correctly, Irene is actually not here, for real. So everybody else, please do that. Okay.
Hey, I'm not entering, but I'm rolling to make sure that something didn't break.
Okay. Yep. Looks like everybody's okay.
Okay, good. That didn't. Okay, good. It didn't break.
Yeah. Seems okay. Okay. So Cypress and Ramune are entering. Andil entering, but you are still. So you're just watching by the door, right? Toren?
Who are you asking? Yeah, I am.
Gotcha. Okay. So the other three of you are entering, it sounds like. Or it looks like. Okay. So as you enter, let me go ahead and roll. He's not gonna hear you, I'm sure, but let me just do it just in case. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't hear you. He seems to be distracted, and he's kind of like, you hear him kind of mumbling to himself. Um, he's kind of looking at the wall, like kind of pacing, kind of twiddling his thumbs. Doesn't hear anything, doesn't notice you. He's humming a little bit to himself, kind of absentmindedly. hmm Go ahead and roll perception because he's speaking kind of quietly. See if you can strain your ears to kind of hear the nature of what he's saying. Okay. Okay. So as you approach, you kind of strain your ears, both of you, knowing that there have been several people who have described being spoken to in their head so far. And from what you can hear, you hear, he needs to hurry up. and it's almost time. So it sounds like he's talking about the person who was supposed to arrive, but not to anybody that he's hearing speaking back to him. As he continues kind of pacing, but faced away from you.
Yeah, I was considering either that or trying hold person. I could do one and you could do the other if it doesn't go off. Or whatever you want to try first.
I could try distracting him if you want.
Alright, Cypress will wait till he's distracted and try and hit him with a hold person.
He doesn't seem to be paying attention to the door at the moment. He's deep in thought and kind of talking to himself. So you can go ahead and do hold person. That's a wisdom save, right?
Yeah, DC 14. I'll
Okay.
put that in the.
Okay. So you begin to quietly whisper the words for hold person, not loud enough so you can hear it. You take the piece of iron and you kind of twiddle it, and you do the movement with your hands. And as he's walking forward, again, closer to you, not again, pacing, facing the wall, all of a sudden you see his body go rock stiff, and you see his eyes go wide, and he stops moving. He did fail. He is held. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it appears you've seen hold person before, you can tell that he's definitely his eyes have taken that glazed over look that eyes usually take when someone is being controlled and he's stuck. And if you're going to knock him out, go ahead and roll an attack roll, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
advantage and auto crit, that whole deal. Non-lethally if you want.
Ooh.
Oh, you get the crit anyway.
Well, it's kind of a good thing you said it non-lethal.
Right. Okay. So you just how do you want to knock him out? Like, how would you describe that you're doing? Okay. So you just come up behind him and whack him on the back of the head like you see, and you see him, he kind of like melts down, and as he's falling, you catch him, you lower him exactly as you said, and you see him staring straight ahead and then his eyes lull shut, and he's on the ground. A little bit of a bruise is forming on the back of his head where you hit him. And yeah, he appears to be knocked out, and so he is in your control. Okay. Go ahead and do an investigation check, please. Stand or close the door, by the way. And he's actually going to stand by the door just in case anybody comes. Okay. Okay.
And while Ramune's doing that, can I tie him up?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead and do a sleight of hand with advantage, please.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a that's 3.
Oh.
Okay, so Ramune, you just quickly do a very quick check. Just kind of anxious to get to the questions or whatever you're gonna do, and you don't see anything at all. Um, and then Toren, you kind of just loosely ties, kind of put his hands behind his back and just tie around one time. You kind of feel as if you guys have a pretty good advantage on this guy. You're surrounding him, so you don't feel the need to go too tight or too how I'm gonna say extreme with this tie. And like I said, Ginger shut the door because there is a person that is sleeping outside of this door, and he is standing by the door.
Could Cypress possibly like notice his handiwork and double check it or something?
Yeah, I think it would be pretty because he rolled very low. It's pretty clear that he didn't tie it too tight. So yeah, you can go ahead and you can do that.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my God. Or only vaguely better.
Okay. Yeah, you tied a little bit tighter. You're like, oh, that's a little bit of a bad job. You say to him, you kind of mumble, grumble a bit, and you tied it around his hands a little bit tighter. Go ahead, Ramune.
Hmm.
I mean, we can do both.
I feel like we should take a look around first. Maybe see what he's guarding in these barrels.
Right. Because you snuck up behind him, and so it's go ahead.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, we have a perfect spot to put him. We can shove him down here,
Okay.
kind of out of the way. Nobody can. Well, not in a barrel, just in between the space in between the barrels.
In like the back of the room, just in between. Because you're right. There's like a stack of barrels here, and then there's some here, so you can kind of tuck him in between here, kind of to hide him in case someone comes in.
Yeah, so Irene can watch over him.
Okay. I'm gonna put.
Oh, a minute. Let me check my inventory.
Someone has to have some parchment somewhere.
If we do, I don't have it.
Yeah, I actually don't. Rip a page out of Toren's spellbook.
Oh no.
No, we are not doing that.
Okay, I'm not Phineas. I'm not Phineas.
Right. Go ahead, Ramune. Right. This isn't Phineas.
I,
Right.
I refuse. I resist.
Yeah, so everybody who's looking, go ahead and roll investigation. Jander's gonna stay by the door, just guarding it while you all look around.
Cypress will call out and say that while seeing through my cat, I smelled something interesting coming from these barrels, something plant-like and similar to the worm
Worm tongue.
worm tongue. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Andil, you know it's a box.
Yeah, Andil's like, ooh, pretty boxes. That is true. Andil is just fascinated by the craftsmanship of these lovely boxes. Remember, this is the Cooper's Guild, so they made a lot of these boxes and barrels, and it was just like, ooh, Pretty boxes. What craftsmanship? So kind of distracted by the craftsmanship of the barrels and boxes. You didn't even open a single one. You're just looking at them. Now, Cypress and again, Ramune, you're kind of just like going through them. Cypress, you're taking some lids off here and there. You can't remember though which one the cat had identified, or you through the cat's eyes should say had identified as the one with the smell. So you're kind of a little bit annoyed by that. So you're going through them a little bit quicker because you're annoyed at yourself for not remembering which boxes or barrels those were. Um, Ramune, you are also kind of looking a little bit more carefully, but you don't really find anything of note. You do find one barrel with some meat in it. That could be useful. Okay, not what you're looking for though. And Toren, on the other hand, you are focused. Your eye is on the prize. You're smelling, you're shaking, you're feeling around, and you eventually come to a barrel and you look at it, you smell, you open it, and you see that it has a green leafy plant. Could this be the one? Maybe. And this is after checking a lot of barrels with things in it that are not plants. So,
Hey, Ramune. Hey, Ramune, bring that book of yours over here. I found something.
okay. Moon comes over and you're going to go ahead and compare it to the plant um now Torin, do you take the plant out of the because there's let me explain it a little bit better. So it's a barrel full of this plant. Do you take the plant out of it to compare the two? Do you point in there to show him? What do you do?
I don't touch it yet. I just ask him to bring out the leaf he took out.
Okay. And then the whole room explodes. Um, you you look at the plant. You're careful not to touch it yet. You don't exactly know. Maybe it has some secretions that burn the skin. That's possible. You look at it, and Ramon, you take the little flowery plant out of your book, and you hold it up to the other plants. So you look at them together. They're nothing alike. The leaves aren't the same. It doesn't have the pink flower. Completely different. Okay.
I'm gonna try and see if I can figure out what this plant is.
Okay. Go ahead and roll survival.
What about wouldn't that be nature?
So I'm doing nature or survival for this. Both work for
Oh,
me.
okay.
Yeah. And since survival's better for you, you can do survival. Exactly. That could be.
Nature's better for me, so.
Oh,
Oh,
for some reason
Jesus.
that was survival. I don't know why I thought that. Okay. Okay. So you look at the plant, you think back to your days hunting with your father, walking through the woods with your mother as a child. You don't remember seeing this. The place where you're from, it may not be native to that area. Possibly that's why, or maybe it's a plant that's new to the world. You don't know, but you've never seen this before. The kind of the look of the leaves is a little bit unusual. The way that they're shaped, even the smell, it's a little bit strange. It doesn't look quite right to you. It looks a little bit off. And you've definitely never seen it before. At least you don't remember having seen it.
Hey, Jander, can you come look at this?
So Xander says, "Oh, of course." And so he's gonna walk over and he asks Andil, will you go and guard the door, please? Just in case someone comes in. And he walks over and you see him look at and study this plant. And He's going to actually roll for this. See if he knows. Want to do survival. Okay. He looks at it and he picks it up with his hand and he says, "Huh." He reaches further in the barrel and he turns another plant over and he notices something that you all didn't notice right away. There are some, because the leaf that you picked up was not the entire root, there's some berries on these plants that weren't on the first one. Maybe they'd fallen off, or maybe this one just didn't have them. Maybe this was just a leaf. And he takes a berry and he puts it up between his fingers. It's a dark purple berry. He studies it, he smells it, and he looks at it and he says, "Oh, I believe these are spineflower berries." He opens the palm of his hand, he holds it in his hand and he kind of rolls it around a bit, and he says, "Yeah." Smells it again. "These are spineflower berries." And then he takes the leaf and studies it. And um, he says, "These are incredibly poisonous. If you take the juice from the berry and if you extract it from these berries and also crush up the leaves into a paste and put it into a poison combined with the worm tongue, this would be incredibly potent." And he says, "But there's one more ingredient that stabilizes it and keeps it from more or less killing the person who would make this. If you made this now, you would ingest the toxic fumes. So you have to have and he thinks about it and he says the final ingredient to more or less control." And he says, but also the final ingredient could still change up the compound that you come up with." He looks very, very worried and troubled, and he says, "This would kill a lot of people if used properly and put in the wrong hands." He says that in a voice that sounds quite distressed, and he puts the berries that he took back into the barrel and says, "I think this is worse than we thought. I'm going to need to probably study this a little bit more unless we can get it from him." He points at the guy over there. But he says, "If he can't give us the information we need, I'm going to have to do more research as to exactly the type of poisons that could be created from this and a third ingredient."
Well, do you think we should destroy this barrel?
Um, question
Or at
after
the very
that.
least ruin its contents?
He says, "No, I think we should take the contents with us so that we can," and he thinks about it and he's considering our idea, and he says, "so that I think we have access to an alchemist. I'm going to have to ask Esta, who can do some tests with these two ingredients, even without the third, and learn more information about them, including maybe an antidote. At this moment, I don't know of any antidotes that have even been invented for this current potent combination, but I think that we should do that." Ramune? Mhm. Yes. And as you take those berries, he tells you that be careful when handling them because they can be, well, obviously you wouldn't eat them, but he also says that if they get inside of a cut or an injury, one little bit of a berry by itself wouldn't be enough to kill you, but it would sting quite a bit. And so just be careful with handling them with your hands. And he kind of admonishes himself from handling them himself with his hands, like he kind of did that hastily. But he does tell you that. That's true. You did. Okay.
The
Okay.
next person whose hand Ramune shake will die.
Right. So,
And I'm gonna cut off a fair bit of leaves and hand them to. And to. I just said his name, but I forgot his name.
Xander.
Jander, and I hand him to Jander.
Okay. Yep, he takes the leaves, and he just like wraps them up in a bit of paper that he has, not parchment, what you're looking for, but like kind of like the brown paper that you wrap, butcher paper or something like that. He wraps them up in the butcher paper and he puts them in his bag. Um, okay, anything else? Did you want to also, you took stuff to take with you on your person. Did you want to also take the barrel? You can do whatever you want to with the barrel of stuff, but
How big is the barrel?
so the barrel itself, if you want to try picking the barrel up, which you can just do that, no roll for that. Um, the barrel itself is, about like 10 pounds. So fairly light. And it's big enough for one person to carry. It's maybe about a couple feet tall. And it's just kind of packed full with this plant.
Okay.
Well, the real trick is to how to get this out when no one's seeing us.
Mm-hmm.
Cypress says, I think I have something for that. And he'll go over to the barrel and he'll take out his focus, which is just like it was a sprig of mistletoe, and he'll like wave it around a bit and he'll cast reduce.
Okay.
Which will there we go. It'll half the size and reduce the weight to an eighth.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you change the size of this barrel and let's see. How long does the unlarge reduce spell last?
It only lasts a minute, so I'm thinking maybe if we're gonna question this guy, I should actually maybe do that later.
Okay. So we'll hold off on that then. Let's say you didn't do it
Yeah.
yet. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, but you were going to definitely reduce the barrel
Yeah,
small enough.
I'll announce my intention to do that then.
Gotcha.
That I can do that.
Okay, cool. Okay. So yeah, so what would you guys like to do? Would you like to go talk to the guy that he's still currently kind of laying on the floor where he was placed?
Before we do, I want to poke my head through this door over here.
Okay. All right. If you want to open that door, go ahead and roll stealth. Okay. Okay. And this is what you see. As you open the door, you see you see one of the Coopers, and he kind of turns around and he looks at you and he gives you a curious look and he says, "Hey, hello over there." And he says, "You don't look familiar. What's your name?"
Okay, apologies in advance if I just absolutely screwed this up. Hmm.
Now, from what you can tell, he's only seen you. He hasn't seen anybody else. He's only addressing you. This is a narrow door. So just let you know that's where you are right now. So he's looking at you curiously, not hostilely, not in a hostile way.
Oh, well, I've heard this happen.
Oh yeah, yeah. You would hear
All
it. You
right,
would see him
so
open. You'd hear it.
Cypress will say to him telepathically, pretend you're drunk and you wandered up from the bar. Then you're looking for the bathroom. And buy us some
I'm
time.
I'm going to drunkenly stagger into the hallway and just kind of like sloppily close the door behind me.
Okay.
Just feel like this get into a little bit of a drinking contest last night or earlier. This isn't the end, is it?
And he kind of looks at the other guy and chuckles and says, "Dwarves, go ahead and roll performance with advantage."
Performance. There we go.
Roll perception.
Not bad.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Right.
Yeah, +5 bonus.
If you can pee on command. So he looks at you, and the other guy looks and kind of chuckles back, and he says, "All right, fella." Oh. He says, "This is a closed guild hall. This isn't the inn. Members only."
That's not what the nice man at the door said.
And they look at each other and they're like, "Larry? Huh. He's always been a little bit incompetent for this job." And he says, "All right, let's go. Come on, bud." And they both kind of walk over to you and they make an attempt to, like, how when you put someone on your shoulder, like when you put your arms on their shoulder to help them out, they make an attempt to do that. Do you just allow them to do that?
Okay, before I do anything, can I get some recommendations here?
So you can't really, unless nobody can see this happening. And so no, because that would be too, they can't really help you at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, obviously that, the only thing you really need to do is get out unharassed. So,
All right.
because
Yeah.
we'll be fine.
All right. Yeah. I won't start anything. I'll just let him get me. I'll pretend. I'll see. I'll pretend to, like, doze off a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So they both march you through the hall, and you'll get to see the guild hall. So there we go. So I'm gonna move your token. They march you through the hall, and one thing I wish this didn't do was change my vision to the same as yours as I move the token. But they march you out through the hall, out this way, through another room. Um, you see the guy is still sleeping, definitely sleeping on the job. They kind of curse about that, like idiot. And they take you down the stairs, and as they're taking you through the main hall with the bar, now this must have been what Cypress saw. And so you see a bar, some people sitting on some stools, and a bartender. And they're kind of just like laughing and joking, kind of, rowdily. They don't really even seem to notice you. And they take you outside and they take you past the people at the door. One of the guys looks at the person at the door. There are two people at the door, but he's like, "Larry." He said, "Why did you let this one in?" And he kind of looks at you and is like, "I didn't let him in." And the guy sitting next to him was like, "You're always letting people slip through. I'm tired of you always getting us in trouble." And they start arguing. "No, I didn't do it. It was probably you." And they're going back and forth about this. Fortunately for you, they seem too wrapped up in their argument to even guess that you may have gotten in yourself. So they're blaming each other for it. Meanwhile, the two guards that are helping you out kind of they ask you what inn you are staying in.
Ah, crap. Uh, and I'm just like, I can get there. It's fine.
So
I'll be fine.
I said, "All right, friend." They said, and they kind of just like sit you down like in front of the other warehouse, and they kind of whisper to you. Hear them kind of say back to the other guy, "Keep an eye on him. Make sure he stumbles back towards town and doesn't drown himself, and just to make sure that you don't like stumble in the water." And they go back inside. So I'm going to move you back up to the room just so you can see what's going on. But due to fast thinking by Ramune, who gave you that idea, you managed to kind of con your way out of there. Cypress, sorry, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, so good job, Cypress. And good job on you on being pretty good staying on your feet and talking yourself out of that. Okay, so you're no longer in the room, but everybody else is in there. So what would you all like to do?
And just as like a little addendum, I kind of just like drunkenly wander to like the last place I saw Irene, kind of meet up with her.
Okay, good idea. Okay. Yeah, Irene, so where would you be? Would you still be behind the building where you all started, or would you have gone somewhere else?
Provided no one came, I'd probably still be in that at near the empty one, so he'd probably find me.
Okay. So then you and Irene are on the other side of the empty warehouse and waiting for the group to come out. Okay, cool. Okay. So back in the warehouse again, you just saw you have all just realized that Toren has been taken out. You don't know exactly what happened to him, but it didn't sound hostile, so you can only be hopeful. The door is still shut. The people that whoever had spoken with Toren has not come into this room. So you can go ahead and continue with what you were doing. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to take the lead on that?
Let me see if Jander has anything that can help with this. So Jander decides, and this is just in case anything goes bad, you see him do a quick motion, it's disguise self, and he changes his face just to look different, just in case something happens, and he's standing there as well. Okay. So you just give him a little jostle, and you hear him, he's like,
Oh, we gagged him, right?
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Wait till he calms down.
Okay. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Okay. And you hear him, and he's kind of like, oh, and he's like, and he can't really. He's kind. He says, you hear kind of a quiet like, oh, but you can't understand what he's saying, obviously. "Ah," and you see him nodding really fast. You see him nodding fast. Yes, there's no roll. He could definitely feel, the blade or like what you have against him, and he's just nodding his head really quickly. Yes, no, no other intimidation needed for that. That's intimidation enough. And he nods his head really fast as to motion that he agrees. Okay. As soon as you ungag him, he immediately says, "Who is this?" And he says, "Well, this is interesting. Usually, you just, oh, go ahead." Xander. Mhm. Mm. Gotcha. Yeah. So he only knows one as far as he knows, one person is there. Okay. Um, so he says, "This is interesting. Usually pay me unless you're trying to rob me. I know these things are worth a lot." He says, "Look, I'll give them to you for free. Just let me go, man. There's no reason to get violent here." He can definitely like feel, yeah, he can feel the danger he's in. Cool. Okay. So he kind of like, he says, "Okay, all right, look," he says, uh, "well, I mean, I," and you can hear him kind of like nervously stumbling over his words, and he says, uh, "I get hundreds of requests, uh, and I just, I bring lots of ingredients to lots of people, uh," and he says, "I swear I'm not lying," and he says, I got I got this request in a note. I was sent a 50 gold deposit, and I assumed that if the person trusted me that much, I'm known everywhere for getting people hard to acquire items, and uh, these are hard to acquire, sir. I'm the best at it. I'm known for it. Uh, and I promise you that I don't ask questions. I bring them the items and they pay me, and that's it. I swear to you, that's it. I thought you were the guy who was picking them up, but apparently you're not. Or apparently this is a trap. I don't know what's going on." Uh, and he looks and he says, "Look, I don't really ask questions. That's what makes me good at my job. I get people difficult to acquire items, and I bring them to various places that they ask me to and exchange money. Uh, I'm a criminal, not a," and he kind of says that with kind of a little bit of shame in his voice. Uh, I mean, I'm a smuggler. He corrects himself and he says, "And I do this to feed my family." Mhm. He says, "No," and he tries to shut his mouth, and Jander kind of looks at you with like wide eyed, but doesn't say anything because he got the signal from you, earlier not to say anything, but he kind of opens his eyes wide, like, Okay. As you do that, you see him spit out the berry right before you gag him, and he says, "You trying to kill me?" Right before you gag him, you can gag him. You don't have to respond, but he says that right before you get the gag on him. Okay. So he manages to, or you manage to get the gag back on him, and he is pretty shell shocked. He's laying there, um, kind of motionless and not really trying to fight back. He doesn't say anything else. What would you all like to do?
I'll speak to Ramune. Okay. Do you want to wait up for the guy you were supposed to meet? It seems like maybe we really need to find out who this guy is.
So I'm gonna help you out a little bit with this because this was maybe not clear. So the person he was supposed to meet was the guy that you all took, the other guy from Saito and Son. So
Oh.
yeah, so he.
Yeah, no, then I'm just confused then.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like anything we can do about correcting his behavior. Well, it's really not our problem. And yeah, if Ramune's ready to go, we'll reduce the barrel and we'll head out.
Okay. Right, I'm going to close that door. Okay, let me look at
Suppose we'll
Camden.
have to sneak out past the sleeping guy again.
Yes.
Jeez.
Although, let me check something real quick. Jana might have something to help you.
Oh, well, Andil might be have enough key for pass without trace, and without Toren here, it's like basically guaranteed because we don't have anybody with disadvantage.
I am out of key.
Oh, then never mind.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have to stealth out then. So, yeah, no, nobody else on plate, so it'll be a little bit easier. But yeah, go ahead and everybody roll a group stealth, please. Let me go ahead and put Xander on public. Okay. +8. That's really good. Okay, Xander is going to roll. He's pretty decent at it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have Ramune, Andil, and Cypress. Okay.
Oof.
Okay, let's do an average for that. As you're going, you see Jander change his disguise, and so he looks like the guy in the corner. So he currently has taken on that guy's appearance. Okay. So, all right, go ahead. You quietly open the door and creep by. Irene and Toren, if you want to follow just to see what's going on, you can follow if you want. Okay. So Jander's going to be in the back. So actually, tell me what you want your order to be.
Need someone else sleep because I was kind of displaced it last time.
Oh yeah, I forgot you weren't in this part, Kat. That guy's sleeping. He's not awake. And to your left, you hear speaking behind a door, but you don't see anyone. So either go ahead and move yourself to the other side of the room, Jander's going to be in the back.
Oh no, that sounds good.
Okay.
I reduced it, so it should be. It's one. It was only
Right.
10 pounds. So it should be only like
2 pounds.
like yeah.
Yeah,
So,
1/8, 2 pounds, I think. Yeah. Okay. So as you head towards the door, you hear the guy like rustle like, ugh, and you see him kind of turning towards you. Right as he turned towards you, Jander steps directly in front of Cypress and is like, go, and like whispers, like, go through the door. And you hear as right as Andil, you get through the door and stay in that room, everyone. Don't go yet. You hear the guy kind of say, he says, hey, and he says, why aren't you, and he sounds drunk, and he says, why aren't you guarding the boxes? Go back there, you. And you see Jander like nod his head. Or I'm sorry. Well, okay, Andil, you could see him through the open door. So you see Jander like nod his head as kind of as this guy. You see him walk up to the guy and kind of give him like a pat on the shoulder. And he whispers something in his ear. You're not sure what. But you can see him like whisper something in the guy's ear. And then he kind of walks this way and says, and shuts the door. He's like, "Whew, that was close. All right, let's go. Hurry. Roll one more stealth, please." Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, decent, good rolls. Okay. So, okay, go ahead and go through. You hear some voices beyond the door to your left, and but they don't seem to be any louder or getting any louder, and you manage to get through the door. At this point, so at this point you can just go to the window that you all had entered. Actually that's the wrong way. So don't follow Jander. The window that you all had entered was over here. You guys can get to it, so I'll put you in the window. So did you want to go out the same way you came in?
Yeah, but I will be right back real quick.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna move you out. Okay, so I'm gonna move us all then back to the other scene. Now, what I'm going to say about this is that you all did manage to get out, and it was due to good rolls, and good ideas to kind of get past that other guy. So you all did really well with this. I'm going to go ahead and move us this other scene. It wasn't just me being nice. You all did actually do work to get out of this. Okay, let me go ahead and move Irene where you are. And let me move Toren where you are. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, things are hard. People are always telling you that, and it's been confirmed by many different sources that people are having it rough. I guess we could think of it like kind of like the pandemic. It's a worldwide pandemic. Yeah. He better hope that he doesn't run into you guys again, because you guys were not playing around. Okay. Okay, great. So you all managed to sneak out of the window with no problems. And Irene and Toren, are somewhere in the area. So Jander is going to go over here, just trying to get out, and he's like, come on, everyone. And he kind of like calls to you all to come over to where he is. This is interesting. The darkness feature just makes everything black and white rather than look dark. It just looks black and white. So I'm going to move Cypress. Okay. Okay, so you all managed to meet up from behind the warehouse, and you meet back up with Toren and Irene.
Toren filled me in a bit. How did everything go? Oh, that's absolutely amazing. Um, is it a complete reagent now, or what other missing pieces we have left to uncover?
Jander is gonna. Oh, go ahead, Ruben. If you're gonna answer the question. Mhm. Okay. His name is actually Jander with a J, although I do like Jander. Oh, no problem. I was just wanting to make sure that you heard it in case it comes in, you know who I was talking about. So no big deal there. Yeah, so Jander shakes his head and says, well, and he says, unfortunately, I don't know. There's another ingredient there would have to be because, and he explains to you that how mixing these two ingredients would be highly unstable. And so you need a third ingredient to kind of mellow everything out per se. I don't know what the word we would use for it is, but if you just mix these two ingredients in the way that he knows they could be mixed, then it would cause toxic fumes in the mixture. He also explains that a very skilled alchemist would make whatever poison is coming from this would make this poison, but he doesn't know exactly what it could be. He explains that there could be many different combinations, and unfortunately, he would have to research more into this to see what would be the most likely possibilities. Um, he says that he thinks that it would be a good idea to take this information back to the Honored Sons because, and this is new information for everyone, because they might have information about what information about other things that have been found, or more intel that has been found about this poison being made. And he he kind of mentions that Esta has been from Esta has been in contact with the resistance group, and so she may have gotten more information about what the first plant can be used for. And so he suggests that we take this all back to Esta and to the Honored Sons.
Yep, sounds good.
And he also suggests that we get out of this town as soon as possible, just due to the couple of run-ins with people here. Okay, so I'm gonna go get a drink of water real quick. Is anybody opposed to leaving this town? Is there anything you want to do in this town? Do you want to go anywhere else, or do you want to go back to Harkenstow? If you go back to Harkenstow, again, that'll be a half-day trip. You can stay in an inn tonight, or you can just leave town and camp out somewhere, or you can go straight back to Harkenstow. That's completely up to you all.
Uh, I mean, we could just make our way back, right?
If you made your way back, there would be no consequence to that. You know, you're not about to be at exhaustion or anything like that. So if no one opposes that, Jander kind of agrees with you. He thinks it's the best idea to get out of this town, you know, so you don't run into any of the Coopers that may have seen you, especially the two that you ran into in the warehouse. So he thinks it's a good idea to get out of town. Um, so you just want to go straight back to Harkenstow? Is anyone opposed to that idea?
Nope,
Please
sounds good.
don't ever hold your peace. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go get some water. I will be right back.
it's a shame that guy didn't know more about I feel like wait, did we get a name out of him or any names? I forget.
No, he didn't know anyone involved.
Hmm.
Okay. So I'm gonna take us back to Harkenstow. Were you saying that you wanted to do something else, Ramune? Right. Okay. Okay. We are going to do.
All right, but it leaves the trail kind of cold, right? Or did we have another lead?
We probably gonna head to Esther might have gotten an update, so that's probably our next best bet.
Yep.
Yeah. Right,
Mhm.
because 2/3 of their ingredients are gone. I don't think they can operate with the remaining third.
Mhm. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Water went down the wrong pipe. Okay, well, that happens. Okay. So yes, you all are right in your thoughts that sorry, one second. Okay. You all are right in your thoughts that the trail is sort of cold right now. You got the first two ingredients. You don't have an idea of a third. He didn't have any information, or at least we didn't get any information from him about what a third ingredient might be. And Jander is not sure, what the third ingredient could be. It could be a lot of things, as he explained to you. He's just saying that there has to be a third ingredient to stabilize the mixture, as he explained, so that it doesn't poison the person who's creating it. So his recommendation, which it sounds like is what you all are going to go with, is to go back to Esta and the Honored Sons to see if she has an update and to see if there's anything else she can find about based on what you have. And you have also taken a pretty good amount of their ingredients back from the warehouse, so they're not able to use them. So I'm going to take us all back to Esta's place and go back there. Okay. So you all leave the town without incident. You're pretty cautious because you don't want to go burn. You may run into some of the Coopers or something like that. And so you think, and Gender agrees, that's the best idea, just to get out of town as soon as possible. You head back, and you travel throughout the night, and you go back to Esta's house. Jander goes along on his way and agrees that he will meet with Esta to kind of fill her in soon. But the next day, you all get up. It's morning time. Everybody's kind of sitting together, and you all are being given breakfast by the servants and her staff. And she comes and again invites you all to come into her room and shut the door so you all can talk. She sits on the bed and she says, "Okay, so uh welcome back, and I'm relieved that you all are safe. That could have been a little dicey, but it looks like you all came out fine. Did you have any trouble?"
Yeah, I convinced the porters who caught me that I was just a drunk. who confused the warehouse for an inn, so we're good.
She kind of laughs to herself and says, "Good thinking. Drunk dwarf, no offense. Would it be unusual in a shipping town like that? Many of the sailors who go through there are dwarves and nice fellows, though. I've been down there a time or two, and I really have enjoyed it." And she kind of shakes her head and she says, "And so, what did you all find? What did Teray bring or have to tell you?" And that was just a general question to the group.
I'm sorry, what was the question? My wife handed me ice cream.
Ooh, kind.
Um, Ben and Jerry's half baked.
That sounds good. Half baked. Um, so she had just asked you all what you found with Teray, the name that she recognized it. Andil, by the way, if you want to speak up, you can as well. I know that you sometimes have some things going on at your house, Kat, but if you want to speak up and say anything, feel free to do so. She's just asking that though to the group in general. What did you find from Teray?
Teray is the name of the town.
Teray is the name of the guy that you met up with. It was on the note.
Oh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah. Saul's
Oh,
Crest
so
was
the
the name of the
person
town.
the person that Ramune interrogated.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Cypress will speak up. He'll say we didn't find much. He seemed to not know to not be in direct contact with any of the parties of the responsible parties. He didn't seem to know anything. Ramune interrogated him pretty thoroughly, and I'm convinced, and he's convinced. I think that he just didn't know anything. So we're kind of at a we're kind of at a stopping point. We're not sure what to do from here, but we did find the one of the reagents, so we're definitely putting a dent in their plan.
And she nods her head and she says, "That is very, very important. I'm really glad you found that." And she asks if you have the ingredients.
Yeah, I'll produce the barrel. I'm sure I'll probably still have been carrying it around.
Okay. Yeah, she takes the barrel and she kind of looks in it and she says, "I have no idea what this is, but I'm assuming Xander probably did." And so
He said he needed more research, I believe, but he had a rough idea.
she says, she nods her head and says, "Okay." And she says, "So I understand that you all have some things that you have to do on your own. Is that, while we look into this a little bit more, is that correct?"
We do have some outstanding matters with the AC that they wouldn't mind us getting on.
And she says, "Okay." And she says, are you ready to do those assignments, or do you have some other things to do?"
There's a request I looked at in town that I'm kind of interested in doing, but it's not a high priority.
And she says, "Oh." And she says, "Well, I have a proposal for you all if you want to hear it." And she kind of starts to pace around this side of the room, a little bit, not nervous per se, but a little bit unsure of herself. And she turns around and looks at you and she says, I've been in contact with the resistance group. I have to call them that because I don't know their true name. They don't really give me too much information. But I've told them a little bit about you, and they are pretty impressed with some of the things that you've done. Don't worry, she says. He holds up her hand and she says, I haven't given them your identities. I haven't told them your names. I haven't told them that you're affiliated with the ACA. I've just told them about some of the things that you've accomplished, but nothing too specific. But they had a proposal, and I actually sort of agree. Their methods are a little bit different than ours. And they don't have to be quite as, she searches her head for the word, careful. They aren't quite as passive as we are. They have other methods, but they also cannot be caught, let's say. At least they can't be found out as a group. But they want to work with you all. Or at least they want to open up the possibility of working with you. And I actually think it's a good idea. I would actually love if we could work with them more, but as I've told you, we're too high profile to do the types of things that they do. She raises her hands when describing this, and she says, so the idea that was proposed to me was that there is a person who I've spoken to a couple of times. She's actually a very sweet girl. And they were wondering if you would be open to have her join you all for a little while, just to kind of see how you mesh together. So she can evaluate you, and so you can evaluate her. They assure me that she's a very good representation of their organization, and that she also is a person with a lot of talent that would help you in the types of missions that you will be doing. And so if you're open to her joining you for some time, I'll let them know. And she has a habit of just showing up when she's needed, I guess. What do you think? And she walks over and kind of sits back on the bed and she says, I do trust them. They have a lot more to lose than we do. And they also are putting quite a bit of trust in us to send her with any group that they don't know. She is quite important to them. They're like a family. And she looks at you all expectantly.
So just to clarify, so this is from the resistance group
Mhm.
that she coordinates with,
Yes.
and what am I saying? So she do they have a specific thing they'd want her to join in on, or just lending a hand?
Just so nothing specific. She's saying that to join to lend you a hand for a short time. So it sounds kind of like it's a play it by ear, like maybe she goes with you on some of the missions that you're doing or the next thing. But just to kind of quote unquote her words, test each other out. You see how you like working with her. She sees how she likes working with you to see if it works out. And then if it does work out, that would be your introduction to working with the more closely with the resistance.
Oh, that makes sense. Whatever
And
resistance. Oh, sorry, never mind. No, disregard me.
um, she looks at Ramune and shakes her head and says, "I do see why you would say that. And technically, technically, I guess you're right. But I think that maybe you can either talk to her, if you choose. Of course, that's up to you, or you can look at it this way. I personally, and again, you may want to talk to her about this, but I personally don't see the resistance as a conflict to the Alloran Conservation Society. And that's a little bit of a bias coming from me, true. But they do have the same goals and they do have the same, they're trying to protect the same people. Oh no, Discord crashed. Um, just for, am I still on?
We can hear you.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Toren, you
Can
still
you guys hear
there?
me?
Yes,
Okay, sorry about that.
no problem. Um, so she says, she says to you all, so, but I do certainly understand, and this is 100% up to you. I just think that I personally think that it might be a good match. And she kind of shakes her head. And she shakes her head and she says, and I would say that those wishes are in line with the resistance. They want all creatures and all beings to be treated with respect, including those that may be hostile towards, and she thinks of the word humanoids, but they feel as if all creatures should be left alone as much as possible to live their lives. But I can bring her, if you'd like, to meet with her later. I think that you'll like her. And she kind of laughs to herself.
I think it's worth considering. And it would be nice to have a first-hand account of the resistance and what they stand for.
Mhm. Okay. So she says, okay. And she kind of shakes her head and she says, well, um, why don't you all come back and talk to me later tonight or tomorrow morning? We are going to do some more study on these plants. And whatever errands you had to run before then, why don't you move forward with those and come back to me when you have a chance? And she says, I'm actually going to be taking them to our other location where we meet for the Suns. And we're going to have some of our resistance colleagues who usually meet with me take a small sampling of them to study them further, as well as Jander, if that's okay, if you wouldn't mind leaving them here. And she nods her head and says, oh, I am not touching those things myself. Not with I know nothing about alchemy. And she kind of just she says that with like a bit of like a shudder to her voice. And a little bit of the prissiness coming out, like dirt, plants, whatever, mostly gone. But she said nothing about alchemy. And she kind of like turns her nose up. And she says, okay, so why don't you all come back later tonight and I will have her here, if that's okay. And she kind of and she kind of asks this as a question to you.
Before we leave for a little while, is there any update on that brass brazier you said
And
you got?
she says, "Oh, of course, yes." And you see her go and fish in the drawer, and she hands you a brass brazier. It's like, "Here we go. We found one." She seems very pleased with herself, and she hands it to you.
All right. Well, you want to watch something awesome?
And she says, "Yes." And she's at the edge of. She comes over and is at the edge of her seat.
All right. I would like to ritual cast Find Familiar.
Interesting. Okay. Find familiar. This is going to be a good one. Okay. So, um, Toren takes the 10 minutes and kind of draws up his familiar. Now, what type of familiar are you calling?
An owl.
Okay. An owl. So, this owl comes and it sits on your shoulder. And she says, "What?" And she says, "What can that do?"
I was like, he's a scout. I can see what he sees.
She shakes her head, very impressed. And she says that is going to be extremely useful and with the things that you all will be doing. Does anybody else have any reaction? Maybe you all have seen this before, seen people cast these type of spells, so you're just going like, that's just Toren. Or maybe somebody else. Esta's pretty surprised. As far as Esta knows, and one of the reasons why she's so surprised is that even though she's seen her fellow honored son, Clement, with his Hawkins, she didn't know that Toren could do that type of stuff. She thought that you were a fighter. She had no idea that you had magic. So that's really the root of her why she's so impressed with what you've done.
Oh, I mean,
100%
I
fair.
was gonna ask if
It's still
Cypress taught him
impressive.
that.
You're gonna what?
I was
What
gonna
you
ask if Cypress taught him that.
say?
I mean, Cypress has done something similar, but as far as anybody knows, it didn't require a ritual, so maybe it would look like it's a manifestation of his ability to turn it, because he's turned into cats. He's summoned cats. Maybe it's related. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I do agree with you about the bear. Essa has never seen that. So yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah, and she kind of just, but she is impressed and see, the most she's seen is Hawkins with his hawk, and Hawkins uses his hawk to harass people all the time and play tricks on people. So it's kind of a little bit of a source of annoyance for her with that stupid hawk, but so she's not too impressed by that anymore. So she kind of says to you guys, okay, so I will see you all a little bit later. If you want to come back in a day or so, we'll talk more about this.
Sure, sounds good. In game, how many days away are we from the that ball, that government like party that they're looking to blow up or interfere with, I should say?
Yeah, something's about to happen. Yeah, you're a little bit more than a little bit more than 3 weeks away. It hasn't quite been a week since you first heard about it, so you still do have some time. And Esta and the honored sons are going to definitely be keeping you in the loop if anything happens with that as well. Meaning like planning or any milestone. So thus far, nothing of note. They're just kind of getting closer and trying to find out more about this attack, working with the terrorists, not the terrorist group, the resistance group, and the finding out more information about the terrorist group. That actually, I knew you were going to say that, and to be honest with you guys, that actually was not a slip. That is not a secret. It is the terrorist group is not the resistance group. And that is the truth. I was like, oh shoot, they probably think that now I'm messed up, but actually I didn't. It's not. It's not. That's not a secret. Yeah, I mean, as far as you know, they are separate groups. But I'm telling you right now that they are separate groups. They are not the same group. So yeah, it's definitely not the same group. Oh no. So basically
Oh,
the resistance group and the honored sons, think of the resistance group as Professor X, I'm sorry, the honored sons is Professor X, and the resistance group as Magneto's group, but not terrorists. Okay. So they just
A better character for that would be Emma Frost.
yeah, go ahead. Right. Well, you don't know. So I'm not going to even necessarily confirm that the terrorist group is Magneto, um, because there's more to them. But I'm just going to say that I can't say anything in or out of game about the terrorist group. But I will say that there is no secret that those two are the same. Okay, anything else? And let me add this too. The Honored Sons are working with the resistance group to find out more information about this terrorist group. So that's really what's going on right now. Right. Okay, anything else you wanted to talk to Esther about?
I that pretty content. If we're gonna see her later, I guess my trajectory would probably be to maybe pick up our stuff that we ordered and speak to the map guy.
Okay. Okay. So, what are we picking up? So, Toren, you had your armor, or did you already pick that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Oh,
picking
I
that
didn't
up.
pick that up yet because you said it would have taken a day for that to do its thing,
Hmm. So you can go pick
and
that up. Oh, go ahead.
it's like, and I wanted to keep the armor I had on
Hmm.
for the
Yeah,
moment
and
anyway.
they said come back and trade, give that to them, and then you would pay for the armor with the rest of the money. So,
Which
Did you
I
okay.
said,
ever tell Ramune about his armor?
Yeah, I think so. I think I also said, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah,
I
talk to
thought
me.
it had some special property though, since you paid double for it. Ah, all right, fair enough.
All right, anybody else? I think that was all we had to pick up. I don't think there was anything else to pick up. Okay,
Did
so
anybody order any
Oh,
weapons?
I think Irene bought Splint? Or
Oh
did
yeah,
I?
sorry, I just checked for them to be armor category, but yeah, Splint. So I'll update that.
okay, yeah, go ahead and update. We don't have to role play that out unless you have something that you want to say to the people at the armor places, but you can just say you went and picked up your armor that morning.
Yeah.
So ditch scale mail, get full plate.
You are very happy about that.
Yeah, because I now have 18 armor. I can actually be
Exactly.
a
Yeah,
frontline
he's been
character
working
now.
for quite a few sessions for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got very
Apologies
lucky
if
at
I've
the
been
table.
hoarding money, but that's kind of been the reason for it.
Well, you did pretty well at the table, so there was that. Okay. All right. So everybody picks up their armor. Now, there's a couple things that we can do. We can go, and I'm just bringing this up. You by no means have to do this. We still had Julius Westgard from the theater. You can go there if you want to. You can completely skip that. You can talk to him later if you want. And then we had the map.
I mean, we can split up and have some of us do either.
Okay. Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you okay, so do you all want to go then directly to the map, or did you want to stop by to talk to Julius Westgard?
Personally, I would like to do the map, but if everyone else
Oh.
wants to go to the theater, I will be fine with that.
Okay. Anybody have strong feelings for going to theater?
No,
Um,
unless I don't even remember why we were going back. So.
Okay.
To
Map.
question why the theater wasn't open.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, why it wasn't running performances anymore. We absolutely don't have to do the theater. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, if he's willing, I mean, if that's willing to wait, we can do the map and then do that after.
Yeah, you can basically do the theater at any time. I mean, the guy has an office, and he told you where his office was. He has an office in Harkenstow. You can drop by. He said that, drop by when you want. He'll tell you a little bit more about what's going on with that. So that is absolutely not time sensitive. So, okay, so it sounds like then we're gonna go do the map. So let me bring us back to the Harkenstow map here. And apologies, I need more water. So I will be right back again. 1 second.
yeah, yep.
I wonder what kind of treasure we're gonna find, if any treasure at all.
For friends we made along the way, obviously.
I'm open for I'm open for very fine booze. What about you guys?
I've given my answer.
Fair
Okay.
enough, Ramune. What about you?
I'm okay with friends.
Oh, that was an in character, by the way.
No,
Irene has a mortgage to pay.
Right.
sounds like
Yeah,
no one
Irene
in our
has a
treasure
house.
will be poisonous snakes.
Irene has a house. So,
Yeah. And Andil's okay with potential friendship since I realize I'm still not entirely trusted.
Well, that's nothing against you. It's more of your predecessor was a bit of an ass.
Wait, it's okay. I think I half this conversation has confused me between the in and out of character.
Yeah, I think Cat meant in character that we don't trust Andil because
Andil.
of the origins.
And we also don't we don't know Andil in any capacity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or have begun knowing, I should say. Yeah, I mean, Irene is no reason not to trust Andil.
does this conversation also have to do with that person that she's saying would be a good idea to join you all? Or just Andal? Got it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, yeah. Um, and she does. I guess she has seemed to have been pretty open with you all, but I think that that's a fair judgment to make based on what you've experienced, Ramune. Everybody else, feel free to question these things too, because in character you may have questions. It would be perfectly normal for you all to say, well, this resistance person, I don't know. I don't know if I want them to join us right away. It would also be perfectly natural for you all to say, okay, we trust Esta, we'll give it a shot. So I'll leave it up to you guys, but I'm definitely not steering you in any way as the DM. So whatever, you guys decide is fine. Okay. So Toren, you after you pick up your armor and Irene picks up your armor, Toren, you pull out this ruffled piece of parchment out of your pack and you kind of smooth it out and you get the address for Mr. or Ms., but sounds like a guy's name, Roderick Poe. And you you kind of bring it up and you see an address and you say, okay, this is the way. And you kind of go through some windy streets and some kind of a cozy little area in the middle of town that has some houses tightly packed together. It's kind of like row houses with some awnings, and people are pretty comfortably walking around. You notice a large number, percentage wise, of gnomes. And it's a little bit more unusual because gnomes are not as common in this part of the world as I've previously explained. This part of the world is mostly human and elven. Um, gnomes are rare but they tend to live further north. But they're more rare in general. And so, you kind of see them talking and people laughing and kind of milling around. You come to a house and it's the house on the paper, and you walk up to it and it seems to have some lights on, and you see a light in like the first window there. You smell the slight smell of some something baking, like maybe somebody's baking some bread or something like that in the air. It's a really good smell. And this seems to be the house of Roderick Poe. Would you like to so I would assume you just want to knock on the door and see if he comes.
Yeah.
Okay. Give the door a little bit of a knock and you hear someone, I'll be right there. And you hear some rustling in the back and some movement, and it'll be taking a minute for whoever has said that to get there. And after about a minute or so, longer than expected, the door starts to open. But it doesn't open immediately. It kind of is like being jerked open and stopped and jerked open, like the person's having a little bit of a hard time opening the door. They open the door, and sure enough, you see a gnome. And this is what he looks like. His face is here on the map, or on the Hearken So I Should Say banner. And you notice that he has one arm, his left arm, and it's missing. And his shirt is kind of tied where his shoulder would be. And he has a stick in the other hand, like a cane, and he uses it to kind of open the door more. And he peers out at you underneath some spectacles and he's looking up. He doesn't look older though, but he looks like someone who has, been through a few adventures or two. And he looks up at you and he's a little bit shorter than Toren, and he says, I told you I want to cancel that subscription. Uh, I don't want any more.
Your
I have
wagon's
enough.
extended warranty would so no, I'm sorry.
Like I'm not here. I'm not here about your roof warranty, pal. I'm here about the ad you put out.
Ad. Oh, yes, that. Yes. Come in. And he like takes a little stick and he like motions you in and points it at some chairs. And quite comically, the chairs are way too small specifically for Cypress. Toren, you can, sit on a chair, maybe on the edge of a chair, but definitely not in one of these chairs. So, most of you probably would prefer to stand, but he doesn't seem to notice, and he shuts the door with his stick and he sits and he looks you over and he says, quite an interesting group there. And he raises his stick and he says, adventurers, eh?
Yeah, you must have expected some interesting people when you put that notice out.
And he says, indeed, but not this interesting. And he looks up at you like all the way up. His eyes are going up and he says, you're pretty tall there. And you're pretty short. He kind of laughs as he says that to Torin. And then he says, you don't have a shirt. And he points his thing at Andil and he says, oh, but you didn't come to talk about that. Okay. So you read my notice, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
something about an elvish treasure map.
He says, aha, yes. Hold on. And he hustles out the room, or at least hustles as fast as he can. He seems to walk with a little bit of a limp, but he kind of hustles out with his cane. And you hear rummaging, 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 rummaging. And this lasts about 10 minutes. Um, he finally comes out and he has this box, and it's this wooden box, and it's not even like, it's more like a case per se that he might have taken out somewhere. And it's holding the case very gingerly with his one hand that he has. And he places it on the table like it's glass. And he's like, now. And he looks at you all and he says, now, when I give this to you, hmm, hmm, you're not going to take my treasure, right? Going to bring it back. I'll be watching you, right?
We're not bandits, friend. We ain't gonna kick your cane out and run away with the map.
And he looks and he says, and he says, not very funny. And he kind of looks and he says, and he takes the box and he starts to pull it back. He says, maybe this isn't such a good idea.
Would you like us to sign something to affirm our agreement?
And he says, sign something.
It's like, and I pull out 100 gold and I put it on the table and said, here, keep that as collateral.
And he says, okay, that seems to cure him over whatever, everything that all his doubts. And he says, because whatever it is, it might be worth that and more. And he takes his hand up and he says, and more. And he says it with like this flourish. He says, okay. And he slowly opens up this box. The first thing you notice when he opens up this case, I should say, I keep saying box, it's more of a case, is the smell. And you know how when you smell like rot, like kind of like rot, it just immediately releases and it hits you in the face as soon as you open it. This just pungent smell of like rotting plants or something like that. Like this map has been somewhere and you don't want to know where it's been. He doesn't seem to notice though. And he says, although he doesn't seem to notice in terms of he doesn't comment on it, but you can tell he's like holding his breath and he's like, okay. So, and he's kind of like thinking through his nose. He takes the map out. It's rotted, it's old, and he shuts the little case and he like tosses it aside. He tosses it and it like bounces off one of his hutch and a little teacup falls off and shatters. He doesn't even notice that and he's like, okay. So, and it sure enough has a map and lettering that looks like Elvish. Now, does anybody speak Elvish in the group?
I do.
I do.
Okay. It is 100% Elvish. And it's funny because my other group, they didn't do this, but they have nobody that speaks Elvish. They didn't even realize that, and it has hurt them quite a bit. But that's their fault. Okay. So you all, so the two of you kind of look at the map and you're able to confirm to him that it's Elvish. And the map appears to give actually pretty detailed directions to a spot in the woods, and it's a spot north of here. Rodit looks at you all and he says, okay, so I gotta tell you a couple things, okay, before you go. And he says, you see, my pappy, bless his heart, he was a magician. And so he was all into these types of games with maps and with tricks and with all kinds of stuff. And he was always surprising us. It was always a delight and a joy when he did his magic tricks for us. And so just letting you know that that was his favorite thing to do. And this place, I think that might be his hunting lodge. I've heard a lot about it. It's this vacation home that he had deep in the woods, this log cabin that he would go to every year to get away. Well, also because my grandmommy, she was quite the nag, and so he had to get out of the house every once in a while. But you know, Pappy used to tell us legendary stories about this place, and so you might even want to stay there for maybe, you may not want to hurry back. Let me just put it that way. This is quite the majestic lodge, he says again with a flourish. And he says, and one day when I get my leg fixed, my bad leg, and he takes a stick and he hits his leg, and you hear so it's apparently a wooden leg that you couldn't tell underneath his pants. And he says, one day when I get her fixed, I might try to go down to the lodge myself. And he kind of shakes his head and he says, so here you go. And he gives you the map. And then he pulls out of his pocket a compass and he says, and here you go. And he hands the compass to who was reading the map again? It was Toren and Irene, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hands Irene the compass. He hands Toren the map. And he says, now, I trust y'all because you gave me all this gold, but I hope nobody's coming to get it from me tonight. I may not look like much, but... And he picks up his walking stick and he does a little bit of like a baton twirl with it and he puts it back down and he says, fully expecting you guys to be impressed and scared. Probably not much of a reaction with what you've seen. And he does a bow.
Like,
thank you. Go ahead.
I was like, you should probably stick that bag in that box. Probably be good deterrent.
And the bag in terms of oh, you're talking
The
about
gold.
the gold. Oh, and he looks at you a little bit confused, and he's like, oh, okay. He opens the box again or the little case again, and again the smell comes out, but he closes it up and he puts it in the corner, and he says, okay. And he says, so let me know what you find, and we will split it fairly. Got it?
Yep, sounds like a good plan. So when you say fairly, is that half of a group or half for us, or 1/7 for you and no, sorry, 1/6 for you and 5/6 for us?
And he narrows his eyebrows and he says, "Hmm, half
Might
and
be a
half."
better discussion to have once we actually find this. If we find anything at all.
And he looks and he narrows his eyes, but he says, "Okay, but I like the way this guy thinks. Let's see what it is first, huh?"
Oh,
And he says, he says, you know, you're also getting something out of this other than whatever it is, adventure. He says quite unconvincingly. And he says, you'll get to tell your grandchildren one day that you went on this adventure to this majestic hunting lodge and you found this amazing treasure and it was fun and exciting. Yeah, that. And he looks at you and he says, "Oh, uh, he doesn't really know how to recover from that." He says, "Well,
who would, you know?
anyway." he,
I was
he
like,
seems
I was like, maybe he can self-replicate. You're like a Namekian from Dragon Ball. You just shoot an egg out of your mouth.
I mean, that's self-imposed.
I mean, you know, add to the canon, you know. Every 5 years, a Ramune splits in two, and you know, goes on their way.
baby Ramoons. That'd be so cute, like little slimes. Yeah. So he seems a little bit. So after the conversation has definitely gotten awkward. He doesn't know how to recover. He's like, "Well, sorry to hear that. Anyway, so yeah, you could tell your friends," and he seems to be stumbling over the words now, doesn't even know quite what to say. And he says, anyway, yeah, so we'll talk about how to fairly uh split this up after you get back. Okay? Okay. Uh bye. And he kind of waves, kind of wanting to now end the conversation as soon as possible. He's like, "I'm sorry. I didn't know."
Ramune, stop.
It's a very
Ramune,
sad
just
situation. Oh, go ahead. It's
like what? Ramune, will you? I'm just kind of like dragging him out of the house. Like, come on, calm down.
Irene just writes down, next session with Ramune,
right.
penis.
It's a very sad situation. And yeah, he doesn't know how to react to that. I mean, who would? It is true. It's very, very sad. Yeah. It's one of those like awkward situations that you just don't know what to say because there's something you can't say. Um, okay, so he kind of awkwardly is like, "Okay, see you later. Bye." And he kind of ushers you out and shuts the door. Um, okay, so do you all want to head? It's about like I would say you got up in the morning, so it's about noon. It's not too late. So did you probably have nothing to do. You want to head straight there, it sounds like?
Yeah, I think we might as well give it a like. Does the map seem like it's, you know, we can get there within the afternoon?
So after kind of looking at the map, yes, it's going to take you so let's talk about a little bit about the path that the map is giving you, which which is something that I wanted to go over anyway. The map is leading you through the woods, so it's definitely off the beaten path. There are some major roads, and it leads you off the major road. So, barring any encounters or any other complications, maybe bandits or something like that, it should take you a couple of hours to get there because it goes into fairly thick forest and terrain. So it's not very far. It'll probably take a couple of hours. Mm-hmm. Ranger could get you there in half the time. Okay.
I feel accused for some reason.
It's
Look,
okay. I
I-
mean, we need
listen,
more fighters.
listen,
Honestly.
self-inflicted reflections seem to be a running theme this session. I'm waiting for my turn, I guess.
Right. Okay. So, so you all are going to head straight there, it sounds like then. Unfortunately, without a ranger, Jander is not available, in case you wanted to ask. He's not around. So, all right, so we're going to head there. I will
Yep.
take that
Yes.
as a yes. Okay. All right. So, let me actually get up my stuff that I want. Oh, let me go down there and there. Okay, if you all saw what I was doing, you would understand. Ugh, don't have that. Okay. All right. So you all head down the path and you head out of the city of Harkenstow. You're on the major road for a little while, and the map is fairly straightforward. The only problem with the map is that even though it's straightforward, it seems to somewhat misrepresent how far things are. So as you start to kind of follow the map, it references certain landmarks. And the landmarks are a little bit further than the map has indicated. And as you kind of get to the point where the map goes off of the trail, you come to a crossroads. It's a patch of forest rising between two roads, and it's filling the space from where it's let me put it this way. You you see a fork, and like in the middle of the fork is just forest and there's thick trees. And so the map is directing you to go into these trees and to avoid the forking off of the road. You go into the trees, and it's a little eerie. It's a little more quiet than what a person would be comfortable with. You understand that the woods have changed, and this has been really hammered in your heads as people who have traveled through the wilderness quite often and through the woods quite often, and people who have noticed a lot of differences. And it's pretty quiet. You're not hearing a lot. It's a little bit unnerving. You go deeper and deeper into the woods, and you've been walking for a long time, for about an hour, and you're pushing like stickers out the way and pushing, going through bushes. And finally, after a few hours, you still don't see the landmarks, but you're still headed in the right direction, or the final landmarks, but you're still headed in the right direction according to the map. you see it. Off in the distance, you notice what just looks like some type of structure. And you notice the rows of trees and bushes exactly the way that it is described when you look at this map. I'm going to turn on our music and feel free to turn it down because I always warn you before I do that. So I'm going to turn it on now.
I'm only ever interested in turning up.
Right? It's like rave music. Wouldn't that be funny if rave music suddenly came on?
I would fucking lose my mind.
That was unexpected. Right. Like, that was just a bit unexpected. It's a dark club. Okay. So I'm gonna turn this down because
I'm kind of just listening to Elvis right now while we're playing.
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm turning it down myself. All right. Okay. So we are going to come to this scene and you will see what you see. So off in the distance, like I said, you notice a structure. And as you get closer and closer, you think about the way that it was described by Roderick. And you look at your map. This is the place. Irene and Toren are like, yeah, this is the place. But this doesn't look like what he described at all, actually. You're kind of looking back and forth, and this is what you see.
We've been catfished, folks.
What you see appears to be a shack. The windows are boarded. The roof is broken. It has chips coming out of it. And there's a bunch of junk in the yard, in the front yard, and around the back, which isn't present on the map, but let's pretend it's there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like the beautiful rustic hunting lodge that was just described to you. Not at all. It looks like a rundown shack that has not been lived in years. But you double check the map, you triple check the map. This is definitely the place that is mentioned on the map. What would you like to do?
I would like to look for the front door.
Oh,
Go ahead.
he mentioned he was a magician. I guess as what's the frame of reference we have for that? Like
Yeah. So the frame of reference that you have for that is kind of like a stage magician, someone who pulls rabbits out of a hat. You know, you're not you. He didn't mention anything. He said, he said his pappy. He said he died. So the assumption would be that that was probably before these changes happened in the world, and so we're
Right.
getting like card tricks, stuff like that.
Actually, I'm gonna send my familiar out to look around.
Okay. So you're familiar. You just want to have them look for a window?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of look around the area, make sure no one suspicious like is around, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I'm gonna pause the thing for a second and I'll unpause it in a second. Okay. So as you all stay back Toren calls his familiar and has his familiar do a fly around the perimeter of the house first. And you're looking through his eyes, right? So describe to me how before we get to that, describe to me what happens to you when you're seeing through your familiar.
Yeah, it's like you sort of see Toren start staring up into space and his eyes start glowing. You kind of see him randomly turn his head every once in a while.
And it's clear that Toren is concentrating on that. He's his mind and his eyes are somewhere else as the owl does a quick perimeter of the shack. And you don't see anything. It looks deserted. You see a bunch of trash in the front yard. Maybe like a broken wagon, some wheels and stuff like that. Definitely not something that someone would have, just left there. It's old. And the owl, as the owl flies around, it appears, unfortunately, that all the windows are boarded. And so it can't get in, but it does see a front door. And so around the edge of the house on the other side, there's a door. And it seems to be that is the only door that it can see. Now, there may be another door that is behind some of the stuff, but there's definitely a clear path leading to a front door. I'm going to unpause the scene. Okay. So that is what the owl has seen. No people, one door, boarded up windows so it cannot go inside.
Let me see. Well, I suppose failing anything else, the front is a good place to start. I guess as we kind of look around on the ground level, does it look like there's been any traffic recently? Like people like in or out?
Like footsteps, things like that. Or footprints, sorry. Things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and do an investigation to look for any signs of people in this area. Okay. Anybody else who's proficient can also roll that.
I think I'm still busy looking through Owl Eye, so.
Okay. Anybody else who's proficient want to roll investigation?
Yeah, we'll check for tracks.
Okay. Go ahead and roll for that, please. Investigation to check for traps.
It still uses your mental stats, I think, so it would just be an investigation roll from Toren if he's proficient. I don't know if he is.
Oh, I am. I just didn't know if I would be busy doing something else, because I am. It does take concentration to look through the eyes of the owl.
Yeah, if you want to stop looking through the owl and look for traps, you can do that as well. Or someone else can look for traps. That's fine too.
You can make checks through the owl. I promise.
Or for investigation for traps, you can. Okay, we'll do
Yeah.
that then. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and roll. I didn't know
I
that.
completely misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah. You can use your senses through the owl to look for stuff.
Okay. So Toren is checking for traps. Irene is checking for signs of people or any beings being in the area. Okay. So Irene, hearing from Toren that the owl isn't seeing anybody, there presently, you decide to look around yourself a little bit more, and you step in front of the group looking for footprints, looking for anything that's a little bit out of place, debris. Maybe someone had some trash that they threw out of their wagon, anything like that. Although it would be difficult to get a wagon back here, but you never know. And you don't really find much of anything. You're kind of doing a quick once over. You trust that the owl probably mostly saw what you're looking for. So you're just like, okay, it looks fine. Toren, you decide that you're going to look to see if you see any traps. So tripwires or buttons or panels or anything like that. The owl looks on the walls even to see like maybe there's a panel that could be compressed or something like that. And you don't see anything. Nothing suspicious, no tripwires, nothing like that.
Well, it doesn't look like there's been any activity here recently, so I suppose we might just take a peek through the front door. I suppose the exciting stuff lies on the inside.
Okay.
And as Irene kind of finishes talking, you see the owl come back, and my eyes go back to normal and said, "Yeah, I didn't see any traps or anything on that side of the house anyway."
Okay.
Just an old busted
My
up wagon.
screen is totally grayed out. Is it nighttime?
Yeah, it is nighttime. I do have nighttime on here.
Okay.
And it's
that
kind
makes
of
sense then.
yeah, it's kind of weird the way that this is set up. I actually didn't mean to keep nighttime because you guys didn't end up coming at night. But let's just say it's dark because there's a lot of trees. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so would anybody else like to approach with Irene, who is making her way to the house?
I'll approach with her.
Say it again.
Cypress will approach with her.
Making her way down.
I'll go as well.
Okay. Go ahead and move your tokens wherever you want to be. Okay, Toren's heading the other way. And as you walk around, you don't really see anything of note. This house is in terrible condition. I mean, you're just kind of thinking to yourself, what the hell was this guy talking about? This is not a nice hunting lodge. Clearly this guy was on something or whatever, his idea of a nice rustic hunting lodge. Yeah, maybe rustic, it's, but a little bit too rustic for your tastes. Okay, Andil, go ahead.
It's like Cypress kind of hears Toren grumbling about Ramune losing him 100 gold.
Okay, stop right there, Toren. Yeah, no, you can say where you are, just don't go any closer. All right, before Andil and Ramune, what are you guys gonna do?
I'm just walking around.
Okay. Okay, so if everybody is okay where they are at the moment, we're gonna allow people to move forward, to move, where they need to go. So, are you guys okay where you are at the moment in reference with the group, or did you want to be with the group?
Probably end up with the group.
Okay, so go ahead and move your token with the group. What about you, Ramune? Okay, go ahead and move your token
out where the group is.
let me, you know what? I'll move you guys because you can't see them. Yeah, okay, so this is where put you not in the tree. There you go. And you're welcome. Yeah, I forgot you can't quite see that. All right, there we go. All right, yeah, go ahead and you can approach the door if you'd like, or you can do something else. The door is right here where I'm clicking.
Out of character real quick, I kind of just want to bust in the door like the Kool-Aid man.
Go for it.
I mean, yeah, I'm getting kind of a creepy vibe. Probably better to go in, with our guard up.
I kind of pull out my crossbow, just ready. I was like, okay, time to get ready to feather somebody.
All right, so how are you going to enter? Are you going to take Cypress's advice and kind of go in more carefully, or are you going to just bust in? And if you want to bust in, go ahead and roll athletics.
Which I'm not telling you not to, by the way. I
Gotcha.
fully
Oh, I see.
appreciate your attention and your intent there.
Okay, I thought you were telling me to be a little bit more cautious. All right, yeah. Did you want to go ahead and bust in then?
If nobody says anything otherwise, I kind of just want to bust in like the Kool-Aid man.
All right, go ahead and I'm going to pause it real quick. Go ahead and roll athletics, please.
All right, let's see if I fall on my face.
Okay. You see, Toren's like, all right, gonna do it. He backs up, puts his shoulder down, and rams the door and crashes in, bounces off, and yeah, despite the fact that that door looked pretty weak, it was a little bit stronger than you expected. It didn't give way, although it did shudder just a bit. And you hear this
Toren is...
hollow. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
You hear this sound, this hollow sound like a crash, and then silence. Go ahead, Irene.
And I was gonna say, Toren has taken a wizard level, so he's inherently weaker now.
Mhm.
They're not. It's against the natural order of things. I
Exactly.
guess I'll take my war pick out and I'll try to smash one of the hinges in, or actually break the lock, whichever seems weakest.
I think the door would. I said I think the door would have come off if it was unlocked.
Oh, maybe it opens outward.
Maybe. All right. Do you want to try to open it before?
By all
All
means.
right. Ramune, go ahead and move forward to the door.
Out of curiosity, what's the
Yes.
sign for prone?
Let me try something. How come this isn't working? That's very disappointing.
What were you gonna do?
Well, this probably is okay. That's okay. I had made maybe because I updated the boundary and didn't test it because I had this door working and it's not working, so that's okay. All right.
So
So
it is locked.
um
No, I'm kidding.
actually Ramune walks up and turns the handle and the door is not locked. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move you guys. I had this, like the stair. I had a teleporting thing set up and it didn't work, but that's okay. So you all could walk in. I was waiting for that to happen. That's gonna be kind of funny, but all right. So I'm gonna have to put you all tokens on the map because you can't move them to the map yourself. So give me 1 second to do that. All right, let's go to map and okay. All right, and you just like open the door like
Hey, we
see?
all get our
Oh,
aggression out in
sorry.
different ways.
Sorry. I need to try and poison the door. Excuse me.
Right. You press the berry into the lock.
Does the door have a groin? Yes.
It does
You know,
not. It does not, unfortunately.
I'd like to
You know,
carve out a groin for the door. Then no, okay.
hey, anybody here ever watch Goodfellas?
I haven't seen it. Uh-uh. I
Well,
want
there's
to.
a scene halfway through the movie where Joe Pesci's character is interrogating the guy and said, "Yeah, we beat the shit out of this guy for 2 days and 2 fucking nights. We even stuck ice picks in his balls."
Oh God, that's terrible.
It's a mafia movie. What do you expect?
Oh no, totally, 100%. I actually love mafia movies. I mean, who doesn't? Okay, I think I have y'all in place. I may have made this hall a little bit too thin. So in order to fit all of you all's tokens in there, I have to kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, make it. You'll see. All right, so Ramune opens the door and you all step inside. And you see a house, and it is full of junk. Trash is everywhere.
I have
I look at
no
Toren.
idea.
All right, feel free to look around as much as you want to, stay together, split up. You can basically go into any room that you see, and if the room is of note, or if you want to look around the room, and when you enter the room, I will describe to you what you're seeing.
Hmm.
Thorin kind of walks off, grumbling about how he's gonna murder a gnome if this was a swindle.
Okay, so yeah, feel free to go into any of the rooms that you want to go in, and if you want to investigate that room, let me know. Yes, yeah, your arrow keys are what you would need to use for this. Absolutely. It is. Tell the group what you see. What do you notice? Hmm. It is rotten. It is old. It is just thrown on the table. This place has clearly not been cleaned. It looks like in years, hasn't been kept well, clearly. Um, Go ahead and sorry, go ahead, Roman. Yes, and I would also like both you and Irene to roll investigation, please. Okay. So you pick up the cards and you kind of thumb through them, and you do notice that it appears to be a full deck. You just quickly count 52 cards, a couple of jokers. Irene, as you kind of put the cards in your hand, Irene, you walk over to the wall and you're kind of looking, and you take your hand out and you feel around to what looks like some type of a latch. And as soon as you even touch it, you don't even press it because you're a little bit more cautious than that. A paper, you hear a da-da, and a piece of parchment unfolds itself and it comes down from the ceiling. And this is what it says. I'm going to give everybody, if you go to the journal, which is the open book, it is the next to the briefcase. I'm going to give you access to what this note says. And if I can, 1 second, remember where I put it. Okay, that's annoying. I put it in, okay, I put it here so it would be more clear. Right, I'm going to open, okay, this is not the right note. Okay, so instead I'm going to actually take you all to a different scene because that's another thing. Okay. So the paper comes down and I'm going to tell you what the note says. I'm going to describe to you what you see, and then I will take you to the other scenes. So the note says du- du- du. One second. Okay, there we go. Okay. It says, to finish my trick, flip cards of 3. And right as the yeah, to finish my trick, flip cards of 3. And right as you say that, Irene, you notice an opening. You notice like something that opens up, and it kind of like comes out the wall, and you see a bunch of cards that are somehow like staying on the table or on the little thing that's opening up. So think of it as like you know how when you have um it has like a hinge in it and it opens down like a table, like you're pulling out a pull-out table, if that makes
Yes.
sense. Okay, great. I wanted to know if I was describing it correctly. And there's a bunch of cards that stay in place and they're all face down. And so this is what you see. Now I'm going to bring you to the room. So you see a bunch of cards that again stayed in place as it opened up, and they're all face down. To finish my trick, flip cards of 3. Apparently, this is what the room wants you to do.
How many cards are there in total?
So, can you see the cards?
Yeah.
Let me see. Right now, oh, I set up a pop-up open. Okay, got you.
Mm-hmm. So this is the setup that you see, and I did label the cards, and so you do notice that like if you do a quick flip of any of them, you can see that you can see what they are. So they appear to be cards from Ace to Joker turned over.
I guess I'd call Ramune over and say, "Oh, this is certainly curious."
Okay.
Yes, I think that's most likely the safest choice.
Okay. So
Oh, I thought it would be like standard like blackjack and stuff like that. King, queen, and
Odds of
king,
3.
jack, queen, and king are all 10.
Okay, how about just 3, 6, and 9 and see what happens?
okay, so we're gonna start with 3, 6, and 9. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Because an ace is either a 1 or an 11. Kind of depends on what game you're playing, but I don't think it's ever been a 12. Actually, wouldn't the Joker be the 12, actually?
Maybe.
Uh, Sorry.
Okay, so let's start with we can do everybody's ideas. So let's start with the 3, 6. So do you all want to go 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 12, or Joker? Do you want to start with that and then we'll do the blackjack idea and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Okay. 369. Okay, so I'm going to turn these over for you. So you first do the 3, and you hear some type of gears. You do the 6. You hear stops. You do the 9. Nothing. The cards, as you hesitate to go any further, all turn themselves back over.
That's interesting.
Now, if you want to get, I'm not going to just make you guys agonize over this and we're like almost at time anyway, but for forever. But I'll allow you to roll for perception if you want a hint. So you can think about it a little bit more, and then if you want a hint, go ahead and roll for perception.
Finish my trick. Flip cards of 3.
Maybe the value doubles. Maybe it's 3, 6, and 12.
Or
Maybe it's the joke.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and roll perception. Okay.
Let me see what we can pick up here as well.
Okay.
I'll roll as well.
Okay.
Well, you got the you manifested the nat 20, Ramune.
Okay. All right. So, I'm going to give you guys, because a crit success, I'll give you all of my clues. Okay. I was just going to give you 1 or 0, but I'll give you all of them. So my first clue, how many ways can these cards represent the number 3? Okay, that's the first one. The second one is, it may have to do with words, not numbers. Those are my clues. Okay. You.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's either A610 or... Oh, yeah, actually.
Okay.
Or 2610, actually. It could be 2.
Okay. So do we want to go ace, 2, 6? Do you want to start with those since they're the first ones, and then maybe try different ones from there?
Yeah, go for it, Ramune.
Okay, so Ramune with this idea turns over the ace. You hear 2. 6. And it stops. But the cards don't turn back over. Oh, sorry, I meant to do the 3. Okay. So we have the 3 and the 10. Out of the wall comes a box. And you hear ta-da! And the box it opens itself up, and it has what appears to be swords inside of it. And it appears to be 2 swords. You have solved this puzzle. Excellent. I will move you all back. Okay. Okay. So it has two swords. The box opens up. Two swords in the box. What would you like to do?
Is there anything else in the box besides two swords?
No.
I guess examine the swords.
Okay. So Cypress takes the swords out, and you look at the swords, and they appear to be normal swords, except for the fact that one has the letter F on it, and the other has the letters TU. Okay, F and TU right on the hilt.
Facing towards you? No, that wouldn't work.
No, reverse it. TUF, tough. The sword to make you a tough fighter.
Right.
That's some barbarian logic right there.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh, you didn't hear
barbarian.
about my multi-class?
What?
Yeah, Tuesday and Friday we become magical plus 3 swords.
Right, exactly. Yeah, after that it changes into what is that mansion spell? The magnificent mansion. Yeah, it turns into that like on those days. Yeah, this place is a complete dump as you can see. So, okay. All right. So, did you want to take the swords? What did you want to do with those? Okay. All right. So, since Cypress, since you mentioned it, let's say you just take the swords out of the box, and go ahead and continue exploring.
Alright, so I go in what looks like a kitchen.
Okay. Go ahead and roll investigation, please.
I'm sure the smell is absolutely wonderful.
Yes. You definitely smell rotting food and also see rotting food. You hear little critters, kind of sounds like mice skittering around. Um, it's not pleasant. Absolutely. There's some stale water in a tub on your left-hand side that has stuff floating in it. It is not at all pleasant, or this is not water that you would drink unless you wanted to die of dysentery. And so, you just kind of look around the kitchen, you look in the oven even, which is, probably definitely not working for sure. It hasn't been used in years. Um, you look in kind of like the fireplace, which is filled with just like old coal and wood. And you feel along the walls now, remembering what Irene did to get this first thing to open up, and you find nothing of note in this kitchen other
Alright.
than terrible smells.
I walk out and it's like, yeah, I think the kitchen was a bust, guys.
Now, if you all want to split up and go into different rooms, now you may not want to. Again, you said you didn't want to split up earlier because, stuff can happen if you split up. But, feel free to do that as well. Don't feel like you have to stay together. Andil, do you want to go into that room that you're standing in front of? Yeah, go ahead and open the door if you want. Ramune, it looks like you're head the other way. So yeah, go ahead and keep going that way if you choose. Okay, so Andil, you enter what appears to be a bedroom. It has rotting sheets. It has what looks to be a little oven, a little bit of a furnace. Toren, you are also in a smaller bedroom, and I want you to both roll for perception. Ramune, you have tried a door and it is locked. So, we'll come to that in a second. All right. Yeah, Toren. Yeah, you are doing well. So you do a very thorough once over of the small bedroom. You feel along the walls, you look everywhere, you look for hidden compartments, you look for anything. You don't find anything in this bedroom. It just appears to be a small bedroom. Um, Irene and Andil, please roll for investigation in the room that you're in. So, Irene, you're getting a little bit bored with this. You're like, just what does this magician wants to do? Like, I just want to get through this and find the treasure and get out of this house that smells like absolute ass. I don't want to be here anymore. And you just kind of like pull the sheets aside, with some dust gets in your face and you start kind of coughing and just making you a little bit more irritated. Um, but Andil, you, on the other hand, really want to get out of there too, but you know that if you're more thorough, you'll get out faster. So you again do a little once over with your hand, feeling along the walls, looking under the beds, looking in the oven. You do not find anything of note. Now, Ramune, you have just tried a door and it is locked. Um, yeah, so go ahead. What do you want to do about that? Okay, go ahead. Go to roll sleight of hand, please. Okay. Okay. So you kind of reach into what appears to be a lock and you click, click, but it doesn't even turn at all. It goes in, but it doesn't even really seem to be a mechanism. And you you can't do anything with this door. It doesn't even have like it has a lock, but the lock doesn't appear to be functional. It's a little odd. Mhm. Yeah, no, because the little bit of the opening that you do see, not to say that I would never do this, but it's way too small. We're talking about like the tiniest of the crack underneath this door. So yeah. Um, okay, so it looks then, so Irene and you're in the room with the locked door that doesn't even appear to be really locked. It's just a door that can with no functional handle or opening. Um, Toren, go ahead and please do a quick investigation roll for the room that you're in. And Andil, you can continue going whichever way you were going. And we can catch up to you in a second. Okay. So, Toren, you do a complete once over of this room as well. And you again look under the beds. You notice like some rotting flowers in the corner. You even look at those. They appear to be like, those like magician flowers that they pull out. It looks like those, like the way that it's bundled. And you kind of look at those, but you don't really see anything. So this room doesn't appear to yield very many results. You're getting a little antsy, so you don't look as closely, but you don't see anything. All right, Andil, do you want to go into the room that you're in front of?
Oh, as well.
That door should not be locked. It's not locked. Okay. Okay. So Andil, you enter this room and you look around, and again, it's a larger bedroom. There's a bunch of junk on the floor. There is this random things, hats, on each of the beds, seemingly placed there deliberately. A bag of marbles that's just on the floor, an abacus, a saw, a fish, a stuffed bird, a candle, a bunch of junk everywhere, a pumpkin, some scales, and the scales are lined up next to each other, and the hats are perfectly placed on the bed. Um, Go ahead and roll investigation, please. This is what you see without doing any investigation. You just open the door and see this in the room. Okay. So you do a little bit of a once over along the walls. However, you're not able to find anything in terms of what Irene found before. Irene, if you want to come in and also look, feel free to do so. Anybody else who wants to come to this room, feel free to do so. Okay. Okay. So Irene, you're like, come on, Andil, I'll look. And you walk around to the back where the scales are, and you again feel on the wall, and eventually your hand comes across something and you hear da-da! And once again, something comes out of the ceiling, it opens up. And this is what it says. All right, so let me kind of annoyed with how I organize this. Could be more organized, but all right. Nice. That's not what I wanted to do. All right, everybody, go to the journal. Go to the folder that says Roderick's house. Go to where it says room 2. You should be able to see something, and open that. Let me know if you can open that paper that I've created. The journal is the open book next to the briefcase.
For this act, I will show you that not just a rabbit can disappear in a hat. First came the land we walk upon. Second came the air we breathe deeply. Next came the water to sate one's thirst. After that, the heated heart of the land. Fill my hats with their correct contents by solving my riddle. Okay, can I move this? I can. Can I minimize it? I can.
Okay, so let me just pause for a second real quick, Irene. We're at 10 o'clock. We can stop here for you all can do this, or we can probably take about another 15 to 20 minutes to finish this part of this house. So I'll leave that. What do you guys want to do? Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like flowers into
well,
the green hat.
my forge just completely borked out, and I'm just
Oh
looking at a gray
no.
screen now.
Oh no. Okay. If you please, Toren, if or I call you guys by your character names, Matt. When you're done, would you mind just sending me in Discord some quick notes as to all the trouble that you had? Because I need to get this to
Well,
Foundry because I've
really,
updated it.
all the problem is that I can't move the screen with left click because my right click is my administrator stuff. I pull up my administrator and that completely screws with everything I do sometimes.
Okay, give me more detail about that. Let me talk to them about the controls and how you best can navigate that. Yeah, if you could. I'm going to be moving everybody into this room because I know it's hard for you all to see with the way that the lighting is. So I'm going to move everybody into the room that Irene currently is in. Um so Torin, if you need me to tell you as we go what's in the room until you can get back, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so as you can see, there's a bunch of crap on the floor. It is exactly what it looks like. If you can not tell what it is, ask me, but you should be able to zoom in and to tell what most of it is. And then, so Ramune, you had started with the theory of putting certain things in the hat. So you were going down the path of the green hat being elements, right? Okay. Hmm.
Okay, I logged out and I'm logging back in. I think that might have fixed it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so you want to start with what do you kind of think? So the hats are the four elements. That's your theory. So what do you kind of think then would go into the hats based on what you see?
If first is land, then that's presumably green. The flowers seem appropriate, or the potted plant, to be honest.
Okay. And our flowers. Okay.
Presumably air is white.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's see. We have a telescope,
I mean, air could be
fish.
the horn.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Trumpet.
Yes.
Okay.
Water would presumably be the canned or the teacup.
Okay. Teacup or which one?
Is that not
Water, the blue hat.
You said two things for the I think you said two things for the blue hat though, right? Oh, the water
is
can.
that not a fish right there?
That's a fish. Uh-huh. Or the fish. Okay. And then
Seeking one's thirst, and then heating the heart.
okay.
Eating the heart, I would actually go with the teddy bear.
Okay, the teddy bear. I'm going to we'll put the teddy bear for the candle. Any other ideas for I'm sorry, the teddy bear for oh, I just gave you guys the freaking answer.
Oh, is there a candle somewhere?
There
Is it
is the
candle?
candle.
Where?
Okay, that was lovely. Great job, DM. Excellent. All right, it's the candle. It's right there. I was gonna have you do the teddy bear, of course, first forget yourself. So sorry about
Genuinely,
that.
the candle.
All right. Okay. So okay. So I gave away the candle, unfortunately. So the candle, in the red hat. Now, what do you want to do the other ones? So we heard the plant or the flowers in the green hat, right? So which one did you want to try first? Okay.
Yeah, but we had two options for the green hat, so it's which one of the two are we choosing?
Right.
Okay, there we go. Fixed.
There's soil in the pot, presumably, so
So did you want to do the plant first?
Yes.
Okay. So you're doing it in order of the poem. So you take the plant and that could very well be it, Toren, by the way. Yeah, that sounds like I'll ask them, but yeah, that could be it. Um you pick up the plant, you place it in the hat, and you hear a second came the air we breathe deeply.
Horn in the white hat, right?
Okay, yep, that's what you said. Okay. So you pick up the horn, you place it in the white hat. Nothing.
Sorry, what happened with the green hat? What when we placed it in it, was it also nothing?
No, the green hat, you did hear the sounds of some type of gears. The white hat, you
Okay.
heard nothing.
Okay.
Just breathe into it loudly. Oh, that's a bird! It took me a second to figure out what that was. I literally just realized. Maybe, yeah, maybe try a bird?
Okay.
Yeah,
So you want to replace the trumpet with the bird, right?
yes.
Okay. So Irene gets this idea. You take the trumpet out and you place it on the floor. You put the bird in that white hat and you hear a next. Yep, bird is locked and loaded. Next came the water to sate one's thirst.
I guess I'll do the teacup first, because that's a bit more thirsty.
Okay. You put the teacup in the hat. Nothing.
Watering can, we go.
Watering can in the hat. Nothing.
Gasp.
Can we
I
try
guess
the
it is a
fish?
fish. Yeah.
Fish in the hat.
Hmm.
You hear the gears.
And last but not least, the candle.
Which
that
I
we
gave away to you. That was so
we
nice of me.
we all coordinated and came up with.
Right. That was so difficult. You put your heads together and a voice from above came down and said, "It's the candle." And so you place the candle in the hat. You hear a distant click. And you hear another click and the wall again opens. And out comes a box. And the box has an M, two swords in it again, with an M and a TH.
Yeah. My theory of Mother Tucker is falling thin right now.
Okay.
I need.
So,
What was this? Two more swords? Sorry.
yep, two more swords. Uh-huh. Two more swords. Um, M and TH on those swords.
I'll.
Now you did
I'll
hear a click. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Irene.
oh no no. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, the click.
Yeah, you did hear a click in the distance when that second one came out. When the swords came out.
I heft my war pick and I ask Ramune, shall I take a look at the door that you tried to open earlier?
You look confused. So Irene, you're headed the right direction. Go the other way. There you go. Okay, down. There you go. Okay. All right, there you go.
Unfortunate.
Okay, so you back up and you again lower your shoulder, pound against the door, and it easily opens. Like
Oh. Oh yeah, like a click had just unlocked it. Because yeah, okay.
it opens like it's just a door with no lock. Just a door that you just push and it easily opens.
Ramune, I picked for lock.
He's very impressed. Okay, so would everybody like to follow Irene down where she is?
Yeah.
Yep. Irene, you're upside down. Upside down. What happened? Okay, Toren, I will move you.
Okay, so I figured out what the problem was.
What was it?
Basically, if I right-click too fast, there's a setting on my right-click bar that says "Go back" on something. Basically,
Oh.
it's a tab. It basically goes back to a previous page. And if I
Okay.
right-click, it auto does that. So basically, I have to click right-click very slowly each time I do that.
I see.
But now it's bugged, so I can't access my character because it thinks I'm still in the game. That's why I asked if you could kick my character real quick.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you said that. Okay, so let me I don't know how to do that. Oh, kick player. Okay. All right, so you've been kicked. I'm going to delete your token as well. Okay, let me know if you have trouble getting back in, but try to come back in and then I'll put your token back.
Okay, let me refresh
So
the
go and
page
refresh.
real quick.
Yeah,
Nope, my name's still grayed out.
interesting. Go ahead and shut down the like X out and then come back in. Sometimes I actually have to X out and come back. I'm going to move your token back. We're having some technical difficulties. We'll get to this part in a
Yeah.
second, everyone.
Sorry about this, guys, but kind of happy we're doing this in a not as important
Yeah, for
thing right
sure.
now.
Yeah, we're not in like a high pressure time for sure.
Okay, there we go. It's fixed now.
Cool. All right. And
Sorry about that, everybody.
yeah, no problem. And I'm actually really not too disappointed with how this came out because I did upgrade the system. And so I was a little bit concerned about that despite my testing, that tons of things might go wrong. But okay, so I'm going to describe what we see in the last room. Okay, so you all make your way to the last room, and what you see is you open the door and you see a large box um, with holes in it. You see a life-size doll sitting in the chair. And then as soon as you walk in, a paper opens up into the room and you see a large message. And it says, "Now for my final act. If you stab Maggie, then she'll be late for a very important date. Put the swords in the correct order, so I will not have to hire a new assistant."
Um, is the box unlocked? Can we open it?
Yeah, you can open the box.
If it's empty, I guess we'll put the doll in.
The box is empty.
Okay. And the swords on the ground, do they have any defining traits or features or anything?
So the swords on the ground are actually the swords that you brought in. And so I just put them for visual effect. There is, though, an additional sword with a W. Imagine that you do see on the ground to go along with the swords that you have found. Okay. So there's a total of 5 swords with the symbols or the letters, sorry, that I gave you.
Ah, Mother Walker. I see. Yeah, no,
what are all
Ramune,
those?
you hit the nail on the head.
What are those letters again? I was not paying attention for most of that.
Okay. So the letters were T U F M T H and W.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Got it.
All right. So think of what the sign says and go ahead and follow what you think you should do. Sass. Oh God. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So are there
Pretty
5
good.
holes in the box?
Yes.
I guess what the top to bottom, I guess, like the head downwards.
Okay. So you want to start at the top and put them in what you said were days of the week in that order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Irene, and Ramune, you give this idea and you're like, yeah, this is what it is, you guys. It's days of the week. Pretty obvious, right?
Oh.
Irene, you stick the first sword in. You stick the second, the third, the fourth, and you slide the last one in. You wait for a moment and you hear a ah, da, da, and a cheering sound. And right when you hear that, you see a door open. It was a hidden door. And so the wall just moves aside. And inside of the door, there is a big box. And this is not on the map, by the way, so I'm just describing it to you. A big box that looks like a treasure box. It is absolutely huge. And it is right there.
What's a mimic?
No, I've never had a DM pull a mimic on me before.
Really interesting. I actually we had a mimic in my last game that I did. It's a huge problem,
Actually, wait,
actually.
no, I think Ghost actually pulled a mimic on us. Actually, never
Right.
mind. I retract that.
An innocent
Did
little
someone ever
chair.
did anyone ever sit in the chair?
I would never do that to you guys. It's a chest. It's a nice innocent chest sitting all by itself. After you solved all these difficult riddles, it's a shining example. Um, they are not. No.
I'm gonna poke the box with my spear.
Okay. You just reach out and give a little poke. Nothing happens. All right. Ramin's like, oh, forget it. You walk up and you're just going to open it, right? So you pull the lid. It is unlocked. You open it, you peek in, and inside this chest, you see a book and a note. Right? Right.
It's just a giant dead box with a tongue sticking out of it.
Yeah. No, it appears to be a regular box, and there's a note in there. Um, and oh, sorry, there's three things in there. I almost forgot. There's a note, there's a book, and there is a old and rusty jug. None of these things look particularly valuable or, at first glance, but you may want to look at them a little bit more closely. Okay. Okay. Which would you like to me to talk about first of the three? All right. Toren has the book. You look
I
at the
have the
book,
power.
right? You look at the book hoping that maybe it's a spell scroll, a spell book, and you look at the front and it appears to be a coloring book. You open it up and you kind of look through, and it appears to be a children's coloring book. Right?
You hear Torin just like, what the? It's a
Yeah.
freaking coloring book.
It's a coloring book, and it's called Miss Tangram's Coloring Adventure. And there are little gnomes and little bunny rabbits and little smiling elves. And that's what you see. Miss Tangram's Coloring Adventure. What would you like to look at next?
I am kind of curious about the jug, to be honest.
All right.
If it has colored pencils in it, I swear.
Full mayonnaise.
It does
I can only
not.
hope.
Right. It's the jug is a mimic. Um, you kind of so Irene, you look at the jug and you kind of shake it and turn it. Oh, sorry about that. I mean, you kind of take it and you shake it and you look inside and there appears to be nothing in there. And you feel though, as you are kind of examining the jug, you feel a slight warmth or like maybe a bit of a glow that it might have some properties to it maybe. I mean, this house has definitely not been like this jug was clearly in a box, not on any type of heat source, so it's a little bit weird that it has this slight warmth to it. But other than that, it is a plain looking jug.
Doesn't seem too concerning as yet.
So as you like kind of are playing the tune on the jug and you start to shake it, you hear what sounds like liquid, although there's nothing in there. You hear it sounds like something is sloshing around. It's a little weird.
Oh, is there another slime in there?
All right. And as you pour it out, magically or very strangely, what starts coming out of the jug smells like beer. This is what you have. You have an alchemy jug. And let me just make sure that I have the item, but I want to make sure that that's the right name. It is called, yes, an alchemy jug. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this to your character sheet in Foundry. And okay, so you can obviously add this in D&D Beyond. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm dragging it to your sheet now so you can remember to add it. There you go. So an alchemy jug. Okay, so that's that. Um, okay, so we have the note. You want to go ahead and take a look at that, Irene?
Yep, sure.
All right. So so you kind of unfold the note. It's folded and like force. And the note says in big scrawl handwriting, "Congratulations, you have found your inheritance. I hope you spend it wisely and responsibly. Please take only 1/6 of the loot, as there are 6 of you precious little grandbabies, and I love all my snooky wookies all the same. I hope you had fun. Love, your Pappy. P.S. Please reset the puzzles on your way out. Thanks."
uh,
So that was the note.
oh wait, so are we supposed to split the book into 1/6?
Well,
I set the book on fire.
Use it
well,
for
I will.
rolling
I will
papers.
say that I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to destroy this book, but Roderick did ask whatever you found if you could bring it back to him. So maybe he'll just be like, I don't care what you do with it. That is what he requested. So um, okay. So yeah, so unfortunately it looks like that a few people may have been there before you. Um, at least one person and didn't follow the note, but what can you do? All right, so that is so we're going to go ahead and stop there and we will pick up next time. And
I'm looking
Okay.
through some of the stuff that that jug can. He can produce 2 gallons of mayo.
yeah. It can produce let's see. I don't know if you all have ever used this item before, but it can produce acid, poison, beer, honey, 2 gallons of mayo, oil, vinegar, water, fresh and salt water, and wine.
That's a very
Glad this is what
specific
you like.
amount of
Oh no.
meal.
Oh no, no. You wanna know what my favorite magical item is though?
What?
The bag of tricks.
Yeah, the bag of tricks is fantastic. It is. And I will
And
be honest
the
with you guys, I
and all
considered it.
every DM I've ever had that I've gotten it from absolutely hates it.
I did consider that, but I'm like, no, that's way too powerful for where we are. But I was thinking of it, but I was like, no. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Oh, okay. Which variant of the bag did he have? Because he had there's 3 of them. Okay, well that would either be a giant elk, a brown bear,
Yeah.
or a tiger.
And it's kind of funny, like if the DMs have to keep in mind what they give their party. And so if they give it to you, they can't get mad at you for using it. Once you have it, you have it, so that's what you got to carefully think of magic items that you award, um, because it can be a huge problem for you later, as a DM if the party is too creative, let's say. So my last DM highly regretted giving us a rope of climbing very quickly. He never said it, but I could tell he wasn't happy. Okay, so